All right, I think we're live. Let me just double check just to make sure, guys.
So I guess
Yeah.
pull you up on my phone.
Yep. All right, we're live. So, welcome everyone to Lev Remembers Live. Today is a very special Lev Remembers. We have an incredible panel, incredible guests around here. There's a lot of things that are happening in the media today that it's been a crazy day. First of all, before we get into what the topic is, which is the Epstein dump, I definitely want to first start off talking about one of our own independent journalists, Don Lemon. Last night he was arrested by Donald Trump's the Gestapo regime. As me, Waj, and others and Joy have been talking about this for the past week and a half. They've been putting pressure. We lost Ellie. I guess she'll come right back. They've been putting pressure. Donald Trump personally to go after Lemon because the prior two situations, the things that happened in Minnesota didn't fit their criteria. They didn't fit what's it called? The people were a white mother, a white nurse, male nurse. They weren't black or brown, and now they have what they think is what's going to tie this whole thing in. And part of that indictment was not just Don Lemon and other independent journalists, but there were also, as you could see, some Black Lives Matters people that were that they've tried to tie it in. My reporting has been saying they're looking to try to tie this into and make this into a bigger conspiracy and blow this up. We cannot allow them to do that, and that's why we need to support independent journalists. Quick update: Don is out. He has been released on his own recognizances. He's made a statement. He's not giving up, and we're going to do a special maybe tomorrow or Sunday after Waj, what's it called? Maybe Ellie, and others that will talk about what's really happening with independent journalism right now, because that's one of the things they're planning on next, and not just Don, but others to go into. But today, something else happened, which was part of why they arrested Don yesterday, was part of the distraction. And just think about it, as bad as the arrest of an independent journalist was yesterday, it was part of, again, to distract from what? The Epstein files. Because today, what did they do? They dumped over 3 million files or pieces of documents, whatever you want to call it, onto the world. And not only that, but right after that, we had the Assistant Attorney General Todd Blanche, who I know very well. He was one of my attorneys until I fired him, and then he was my co-defendant's attorney. Todd came out and said, "Well, you know what? We're not going to give you anything else for now, even though we were supposed to give you 6 million. We only gave you half, but also we're going to black stuff out, and there's nothing really to see there because there's no male people, any males that did anything criminal charges, nothing to look at, basically." But with people like Ellie, with others out there, independent journalists that are like my son today also, there's a lot, folks, that are in those files, and we're going to go into them. And some of those files, which we're going to definitely discuss, have one of our, you know, Substack. I don't know what the right word would be for him. Michael Cohen's in it, folks, again. So there have been 3 dumps, and each one of those dumps, Michael Cohen's name has come up each and every time. So we're going to discuss that. On our all-star panel here, we have Wajahat Ali from the Left Hook. Please make sure to give him a follow on Substack, on YouTube, and on all of his platforms. And we have the
Hey guys, I can't
incredible.
hear you yet. Let me just figure out what my audio
Okay,
is
we have
doing
Zev
here.
interrupting like usual, uh, with his audio,
Oh,
with this
he's still
technology.
texting me.
Zev, the most
Let me
most
figure this
technology.
out.
He
Sorry, it's a
has the
brand
most
new studio.
technology than all of
Everything's
us.
going crazy.
We love you,
Zev is
Zev.
moving.
He's amusing. We got Ellie Leonard. Make
There you
sure you
are. I
follow
got
her.
you.
There we go, Leonard. Yeah, Zev, give us a
Hi,
second.
hi,
We're
Zev.
gonna give you the chance. So Ellie, definitely give her a follow on Substack, on YouTube, everywhere she is. And later on, they'll all promote themselves. Marc Ebner actually has a podcast coming out that we'll talk about a little bit. And Zev Shalev, you guys know him from the narrative. He's here. He's been digging with the Epstein files. So we got an all-star panel for you folks. We're going to break down a lot of the Epstein files, and we're also going to let you you hear Michael Cohen's own words today, because this guy can't just keep his mouth quiet, but he keeps talking to the wrong people. And it's live. We're gonna show you some clips about what he's talking about. So let's start off with, I guess, the first thing is I want to read, if I may. What the survivors, a statement from the survivors today, and we'll start off with what they wrote before we get into this whole Michael Cohen thing. I'm sorry, where is that? I am not technically, so I'm not Zev. I'm not prepared.
Yeah, I'm not Zev either, apparently. My IT skills are pretty lame.
Oh, you know what? Let me go on here. This will be quicker. Here, there we go. Because my son's off. All right, here we go. So, here we go. So the survivors today released a statement. All right. I need glasses for this statement. Oh, okay. Hold on a second, guys. All right, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Epstein survivors issue a joint statement condemning DOJ's incompetent Epstein files release. The latest release of Jeffrey Epstein files is being sold as transparency, but what it actually does is expose survivors. Once again, survivors are having their names and identifying information exposed, while the man named, scrutinized, and re-traumatizing, while Epstein's enablers continue to benefit from the secrecy. This is the betrayal of the very people this process is supposed to serve. Virginia Roberts Giuffre alone reported many abusers connected to the Epstein network. Yet the public still does not have the full truth about who enabled him, who participated in his exploitation, and who has been shielded for years. Hundreds of women have come forward with additional reports like hers. The scale of this failure is staggering and indefensible. The Justice Department cannot claim it is finished releasing files until every legally required document is released and every abuser enabler is fully exposed. We need to hear directly from Attorney General Pam Bondi when she appears before the House Judiciary Committee on February 11th. Survivors deserve answers, and the public deserves the truth. This is not over. We will not stop until the truth is fully revealed and every predator is fully held accountable. As we have always said, this is not about politics. We hope Democrats and Republicans will stand with the survivors and continue to demand the full release of the Epstein files. Waj, tell me, set the stage for us before we get to Ellie, Zev, and Marc.
First of all, I think there's feedback, so maybe everyone else just try
mute
Marc,
yourself, right? Yeah,
mute, and maybe the feedback will go. First and foremost, I think it's important. I'm glad you started with the survivors. This should have never happened. Jeffrey Epstein has been raping girls for more than 2 decades. What we found out from the last dump is that in 1996, the Farmer sisters told the FBI that this man was a pedophile. They didn't do anything with it. And Vicky Ward alleges that she approached Vanity Fair, and the Farmer sisters came to her. And then she was also, if you will, pressured by Epstein. And then we found out in 2008 with the sweetheart deal, Lev, that was what, 34 victims had come out, and without them being consulted, Alex Acosta gave Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart deal where he was in prison for 13 months. I put it in quotes, folks, because 6 out of the 7 days of the year he was out, and he was out with the ankle bracelet raping girls. And then after he was a convicted pedophile, Lev, look at all these documents that have come out. We're going to talk about some of the more salacious ones. There's many tidbits that people have found out, and there's going to be more, I'm sure. But, a lot of these dates that place Lutnick and Musk and Bill Gates and Woody Allen and all these, all these individuals, the man that, the person who Donald Trump just tapped to be Federal Reserve Chair, also in the Epstein files. I think that's a prerequisite to be in the Trump administration, that you have to be in the Epstein files, right? Leslie Wexner, Leon Black, the co-owner of the Giants. I mean, we'll go through Richard Branson, Larry Summers. All of this, Lev, was after this man was a convicted pedophile. JP Morgan had no problem doing business with him. Leslie Wexner had no problem. Leon Black had no problem. People had no problem going to his island. People had no problem being chummy. Steve Bannon had no problem. There's a lot on Steve Bannon there. And so you sit there and you think to yourself, well, why, oh, why was this man allowed to rape for 3 decades? And then you see the person who keeps coming up again and again and again, Lev, is Donald Trump. And even now, folks, with the Justice Department, like they messed up last time, they had to retroactively redact a file that they had released. If you have read this document, it is disgusting. I don't want to share the details. It's so gross. A 13-year-old made accusations about Donald Trump, who's the president of the United States of America. Again, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think there was a hero in the DOJ, just like last time, who, whoopsie, forgot to redact Donald Trump and allegations against Donald Trump. And if you read these files, you see what Epstein was up to. You see the allegations against Donald Trump. You see the FBI interview, we'll talk about it, with Epstein's cellmate, where he mentions in detail what Harvey Weinstein allegedly did, Trump allegedly did, and tracks with their behaviors, by the way. You have to ask yourself, what type of country are we, Lev, that re-elected a man who partied for 10 years, whose closest friend was Jeffrey Epstein, and why, oh, why did all these powerful, wealthy men and institutions continue doing business with such a pedophile? And how come it's taken till 2026 for us to know about it? And think about, as we talk about this, and I'm sure we will with Marc and Zev and Ellie, imagine the girls who are now women, who for 30 years have had to stay quiet, were bullied, were threatened, were intimidated, were paid off because nobody would believe them. And that's where you get Michael Cohen. I hope that was helpful. That was just my take.
You always connect the dots. Incredible, Waj. Thank you so much. Ellie, let me throw it over to you, because before we get, because Zev is our old school Epstein investigator, and I really wanted Zev here and Marc, because Zev knows a lot of also the Jerry Falwell stuff. He's been following all of this, and we're going to get into this craziness that Michael Cohen has gotten himself into right now. But before we get into Michael Cohen specifically, because there's so much to unwind with him, tell us, I know you still have a lot to unwind. This is just the beginning. I know you guys, a lot of you are right now, your eyes are probably, I don't know, God bless you. Tell us so far up to now, what are some of the shocking, breaking stuff that you're seeing already in there that you could share with us?
Well, I was gonna say Zev is like my Mr. Miyagi for the for the Epstein files. he's leading me through and training me. I feel like these big dumps always happen when I'm unavailable. So I was actually in New York today when all of this stuff came down, and I first, like right before I left, was what was happening with Don Lemon, and then all of a sudden the Epstein files dropped, and I thought, sure, of course. The last one was like, I was at work all day and it was my son's birthday. So I feel like this is just what it does. What I've been working on mostly today is combining these files into PDFs so that people can actually access them, because they're completely inaccessible. They put them up and they made them downloadable, and then they made them not downloadable. Things have gone back and forth all day. So I'm trying to make them as fast as I can accessible for people to dig through. But in that process, something that I'm seeing a lot of is code words, a lot of coding, things that wouldn't be an email. There was one that was like, the burgers are coming tomorrow. You need to be home because of the burgers. And it's like, really? That's an email? Or I'm trying to think of another one. There's like really, really meaningless emails, but they have like a pushy or a frantic intent. Like, you need to pay attention to this thing. It's Nancy's birthday. Don't go away. It's Nancy's birthday. Just real things that strike me as code for something else. And I haven't looked at the dates on them, which would be curious, because I'm assuming if they're later, then they're more coded. And then I'm just starting to hear these things from other people that are dropping some of these things that disappeared and came back. And, a lot of witness testimony. These seem to be, for lack of a better word, this is a horrible way to describe it, but these files seem to be a lot more colorful than some of the things we've gotten in the past. And they do mention Donald Trump a lot, which is surprising to me that they do, but not surprising that he's in there, just surprising that we get to see it.
And the surprising part, the graphic stuff. I mean, the stuff that we're seeing. This again, this is not he hasn't been accused of this stuff. We don't.
Mhm.
Well, the crazy part is we don't know what happened. Like there's one in
Yeah.
1987, I think there was a complaint again, a 13-year-old girl. And again, if you take a
Mhm.
look at what Katie Johnson filed, some of this stuff is very similar. I mean, the
Yeah.
same age, same type of MO, same type of gross act. So when we say, maybe one person, but this is already several, we're seeing that there was play,
Right.
and we don't see where it's going. Another thing, something interesting, I think that was in there that was very interesting about. Let's start off with Elon Musk. Elon Musk again, and that's another somebody that
Right.
has came out sworn he's never been to Epstein's island, and now there's an email about again.
Oh,
We don't
he's
know
been
if he
Epstein.
actually made it, but this is
He
already
was
the second,
invited.
right second email where they're making plans, heliport, when I'm going to be there, and so on. But there was another one that was really interesting that I think that needs to get on our petition subpoena list, and that's Howard Lutnick. Because Howard Lutnick came out, folks. He's just like another Michael Cohen, another what's that reporter. If you remember, just maybe a few weeks ago, he went on this whole thing on Fox saying, "Hey, I used to be the neighbor of Epstein. I knew he had a massage table. I would never go in there. I knew
I
what
was
he was
so
all
grossed
about."
out.
Oh,
I
I was
left
so
because it was so
right.
gross.
I was so
Yeah.
grossed
They
out. I would
shared a
never.
wall. They shared a
Right.
wall, and
They
like
were right.
the way those houses are built, they likely shared some sort of passageway at some point between the two houses. Like they're literally next door to each other.
And what happens? So what do we find in the Epstein files now? That Howard Lutnick was making plans, or what was it? I don't have. Did you see that? I mean, that he was
Nope.
on the. Either my son actually put it out today. That Howard Lutnick was either making plans to go to the island, or but also I think was
Oh
that. Can you
yeah.
take a look? Yeah, I think definitely was something to do with the island. And then we
Yeah, I just
saw
put a
the.
story
I'll
out
look,
on that,
I'll
Lev.
look it up while
Oh
you're
yeah.
talking.
Oh, Gizev, can you take? What did
Yeah,
you
I
put a
just put a
story on
story
that?
out of both
Please
Howard Lutnick and Elon Musk, and about their
update us. Yeah.
strange reappearance in these files, having both in the past denied any knowledge of what was going on, except for these massage tables that Ellie was just referring to. But now we know that Lutnick brought his wife and his 4 children to Epstein's Island for Christmas in 2012. This is a few years after his denial. And in the denial, by the way, he was made to his podcast. It was called the I don't have it here in front of me actually, but in that podcast script or interview, he talks about in the 6 to 8 steps back to their own house. They made a decision right there. I will never be in a room with that disgusting person ever again. That's what they said back in that interview, referring to their ending of their relationship, which they claimed then was 2005. Now, what do we find out? They were there for Christmas in December 2012 with the entire family. What the entire family was doing there, God knows. But that is an interesting find. And of course, that is not just nobody. This is Howard Lutnick, who is the father of the two, of the one kid who's building the huge crypto empire with the 2 Trump kids. So it's not just a guy with connections to Russia. It's a guy with connections to Russia, Cantor Fitzgerald, and a guy tied to Tether and a guy tied to cryptocurrency. So this is not, just a passerby in Elon Musk's world, and certainly not a passerby in Trump or Vladimir Putin's world. Really interesting to see him come there. He also invites Epstein to a Hillary Clinton fundraiser, by the way.
That's another
Also
one,
an
right? I was
interesting
going to
point.
say
Yeah.
that's another one. Absolutely.
And then
So
with
I mean,
Musk,
Can I
I mean, I
interject?
think.
Can I?
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
no, go ahead,
go
go
ahead.
ahead,
Can
guys.
I ask
Please,
a question? Do
No,
we
please.
know about about Elon Musk and massage? Did we know that? I just got a
Go ahead.
text message from Kate, and she sent me an email where somebody named Kira was emailing Epstein, and Epstein wrote back, Elon Musk, and she says, perfect, let me know exactly what he wants, we'll organize. And he said, I called blank, left a voicemail, see if blank wants to do a massage.
Oh, interesting. I'm not surprised.
Elon Musk.
The one that caught my eye was December 2013. Musk to Epstein, will be in the BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays. Is there a good time to visit? Then he talks about Elon Musk is a go. This is Leslie Groff. I think we've seen this one before. Elon Musk is a go on the island of December 6th.
Yeah.
But on Christmas Day 2012, he's working to the edge of sanity this year. Once his kids leave after Christmas, he wants to hit the party scene in St. Bart's. I mean, with Jeffrey Epstein, of course. This is
Yeah,
not
and
just
of course. I mean, it's not just the regular. You need Jeffrey.
yeah.
Mark, you want to jump in? I know you wanted to say something. Go ahead, jump in, brother.
Well, no, I was just going to say, does anyone on our esteemed panel here know if Alan Captain Underpants Dershowitz kept his drawers on when he was on the island? Because that's what I want to know. I mean, this whole thing, I'm going to leave the minutia of Epstein to you guys, but I will say, since I was mocking that Ponzi guy named Donald Trump in Spy magazine since the 80s, he's long been recognized as, like I said, a Ponzi guy with a long history of fraud and sexual predation. It's weird because I'm sitting here and none of this is surprising me. And I think I realized that the fix was in, Lev, when you mentioned Alex DaCosta and the Pam Bondi fix right there. It takes leaks like this to get us here, but it should have been clipped years ago.
100%, Mark. I agree with you, and just in case, Mark, you have to go earlier because I know, and I appreciate your coming. Let's talk about a little bit because of what else is in the Epstein files, which is Michael Cohen, and Michael Cohen has been in the Epstein file. In the first release, Michael Cohen was in the Epstein files because his name was brought up by Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett because she was on the receiving end of text messages from Epstein talking about Michael Cohen. Now, in my opinion, that's a bad thing for Michael Cohen because that means Epstein is talking about him, giving information about him. But Michael Cohen tried to spin that that something that Stacey Plaskett is doing wrong and we should go after her. On the next dump of Epstein file, and keep in mind, Michael Cohen keeps saying to everybody, release the files, release the files. All I want is you got to release the files. So they released the first dump, Michael Cohen was in there. Now they released the second dump, Michael Cohen was in there again. One of our Ellie's incredible subscribers found the Epstein letter basically in there from Michael Cohen's legal team in 2019. Basically saying that Michael Cohen, while he's in prison, wants to get out, and he has information that ties into Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Now there's a third dump, and in this dump, Ellie, do you have that actually? What it says, that email, the Michael Cohen email that you sent me in this third dump that we found so far. Again, we remember this is we just got it today, and again, Michael Cohen's name is in. Again, we don't know in what terms this is, what this meant, but again, this is a letter, an email from somebody. Do you have that, Ellie? If not, I can find it. It's an email from somebody to Jeffrey Epstein. Basically, I'll paraphrase it while Ellie's finding it, saying that Michael Cohen could take Donald down. Now, basically, it is, I think, around 2018. So Michael Cohen is obviously, and again, he goes on these rants talking about how all of us here are trying to go after him, and how the folks, we're here to get to the truth. We get here to get for justice for the survivors. It's interesting how Michael Cohen goes on his lives and talked about these things. And one of the things, I have some clips that we're going to play because Michael Cohen decided to say some things, and that's why we brought Marc up here, because all of us here, we deal with the facts. And a couple of days ago, we had a live, and on that live, I brought up that there's some things that we're looking into. Me, Ellie, and Zev was moving. I didn't get a chance to speak to him, but things that pertain to the Jerry Falwell case, something to do with Michael Cohen's relationship, why Falwell all of a sudden decided to support Donald Trump, under what pretenses, and so on and so on. the interesting part is the people that did that documentary about it's called The Pool Boy happen to be the same people that did the documentary on my documentary with Rachel Maddow. So it's a small world, and Marc happened to be the investigator and also in that documentary and spent time with Michael Cohen. So before you respond, Mike, tell us the story and give us the inside scoop of what really transpired there. I want to play a little bit first, two things. First, I'm going to play from Michael Cohen talking about attacking Stacey Plaskin, Congresswoman Plaskin, because I think it's important for you to all see. We're going to spend like 5 minutes of playing clips here because it's important for you to see what Michael's anger defenses to try to attack Plaskin. The second one we're going to play as it goes along is Michael Cohen's response. I forgot to tell you is that when me and Wajahat Ali and Ellie were doing a live, Ellie spoke about she had a text message conversation with Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Marc Epstein. And giving you the background, usually when she speaks to him, he responds to her yes, no, but it's usually either a yes or a no or goes into it. Well, when she asked him a question about Michael Cohen, he responded very interestingly. He said, what was it, no comment, Ellie? Is that correct?
Yeah. He's very like all caps, no, yes, no, I don't know, no, yes, no. And I said, well, have you ever been approached by Michael Cohen about any of this stuff? And he said, no comment.
No comment. So Michael Cohen decided to respond to this. We're going to let you listen to this also, and then last but not least, he then responds to that to everything about what you wrote about and happened into the documentary. So I'm going to play these clips, and then we're going to have discuss all of this. So this is we'll start off with Michael Cohen, Stacey Plaskin, and he goes on.
Me about that matter as well. Really sort of gets me and makes me sick to my stomach. Probably one of the reasons, why my blood pressure is through the roof. Through the roof. It's because while I'm sitting there before the House Permanent Select Committee, before the House Oversight Committee, I'm sitting there on live TV, nauseous, sick. Imagine, this isn't what I wanted. My seven times I had to do this. While I'm sitting there being questioned, attacked by the Republicans, semi-attacked by the Democrats, thousands of questions asked of me. Congress member Stacey Plaskin from the British Virgin Islands, where Epstein had his island, is texting with Jeffrey, the pedophile, Epstein? Seriously? Oh, a great one too. One of my detractors over there turned around and said that he was speaking with Marc Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, and that he was like, "Did you ever speak to Michael Cohen?" The answer is yes, he did. Marc Epstein called me. I was in my car with my wife and my children heading out to a friend's home in the Hamptons for a birthday party. And while we were driving out there, somewhere between exit 42 and exit 70, till we hit Manorville, I received a phone call from a number I didn't know who it is. I hit the button onto the speakerphone, and lo and behold, yeah, hi, Michael. This is Marc Epstein. I was like, yeah. So he goes, I'm Jeffrey Epstein's brother. I said, oh, what can I do for you? So he goes, look, so I see you have a company called Crisis X. I was speaking to somebody who I know, and that person said that I should probably speak to you. I said, can you tell me who it is? He says, I'd rather not. I was like, okay. I said, is that how you got my number? Yeah. I said, oh, okay. And lo and behold, he asks me if he could hire me in order to look into Jeffrey Epstein's death, to his brother's suicide, because he doesn't believe his brother committed suicide. Now, believe it or not, most people won't, but I genuinely really am. I'm not a mean person. I could be rough. I could be gruff. but I'm not a mean person. And I turned around and I said to him, Mark, can I be honest with you? And he goes, absolutely. I don't care if it was or it wasn't. And he was like, huh. I was like, I don't. First of all, everybody in that scenario in solitary confinement, it's the one thing that runs through every inmate's mind. It's easier just to commit suicide.
So I'm going to stop him for a second right there, because we're going to go over that Marc thing and how right away he plays into suicide, trying to right away show that he killed himself because it's the motive that Trump and everybody wants. But I'm going to fast forward it now to where he talks about, because I can't listen to his voice too much, folks. I'm sorry. That he's like Donald Trump. If you really listen to him, just think about how he tells the story. He remembers where his kids were, what exit it was, what he was drinking, what he was having that day. This was like what, 6-7 years ago, supposedly. But as soon as you say
And that is
Epstein,
never Marc Epstein's tone of voice. I just want to say that. Okay.
Thank you, Ellie. I was gonna say, but as soon as you say Epstein, he's like, Epstein, what? I don't remember. I wasn't there. I don't know what really happened. But it's like Donald Trump, but he just so here, this is now his let me see, 3945.
Is Ellie the detractor? Ellie, are you one of his detractors? Ellie?
No, I'm the main detractor, because he talks about how the pardon. Wait till you hear this one. He's really doing it for me and 70 million people. It's not about him getting a pardon. It's all about me getting a pardon and 70 million people. I keep texting him, Michael, thank you. I don't need a pardon. Like, you know what I'm saying to you? Don't do me any favors. But here we go, guys. This is now his explanation now for the other thing about the Jerry Falwell stuff.
Okay, Nancy, regarding Jerry Falwell Jr. I know Jerry and I know Becky for a very long time. I want to be crystal clear about something. The stories that you heard, the story that shows up in that documentary is 100% a lie as it relates to me. Yes, Becky was having an affair. That's factually accurate with the pool boy. I never spoke to the pool boy. Were there alleged photos that he had? Yes, that too is true. The reason that Jerry and Becky went and endorsed Trump, this is going back in 2015 in Iowa, is simply because I asked as a friend for them to think about whether that they would do that, because things were not going well there. That's the story. Had nothing to do with photographs or anything. It is an absolute lie by the director, by the writer, by the producer, by all of them. It is wrong, factually wrong. All right. Whether you like them or you dislike them, that's certainly your opinion and you're entitled to it. But as it relates to why they ended up endorsing, because they felt that he would be able to do things for this country based upon the statements that he was making.
So
just going back.
So I know you have a lot to say, Marc, and I'm going to give it to you first on all of this. But I just want to remind you and everybody, if you take a look how Michael Cohen talks, he's always protecting Donald Trump. Like he's talking about, yeah, Becky, they didn't do it because of anything else. They did because they believed in what he was saying, his policies. They were doing this. Anyway, Marc, tell us, first of all, the background of what the pool boy, what your book is about. Tell us a little bit about, give us a little bit of feedback and how Michael Cohen fits in and what your interaction was. We're going to sit back, all put the mute on and let you give us a little. This is very important, folks. Go ahead, Marc.
Well, we're going back a few years. I got a call from Billy Corbin. He was the director of God Forbid, the Hulu documentary, as well as directing From Russia with Lev. And Billy calls me from Miami every once in a while when he thinks he has a live one that may be a good book, which might become intellectual property from which he can extrapolate a documentary. And he sure, he did well on this subject with God Forbid. He puts me in touch with Giancarlo Granda. That's the kid who was railing Becky Falwell while Jerry Falwell, the president of the evangelical rape factory, Liberty University, he sat in the corner jacking off. I mean, this was pure cuckery. I didn't even know anything about the cuck scene, and someone hit me to it and said, go on YouTube. And my God, this is what they were doing. So I got Giancarlo on the phone, and the conversation went like this. Hey, Giancarlo, tell me your story. Tell me your experience with the Falwells. And he bullet pointed that for me, and I said, wow, it looks like the Falwells picked the wrong pool boy to fuck with. And next thing you know, we had a book deal with HarperCollins, and this was during the pandemic. I traveled across the country to D.C., where Giancarlo was finishing up his master's degree at Georgetown University, and I'm sitting with him, and he explains to me, to bring it home to Michael Cohen, that during the run-up to 2020 election, when Michael Cohen was running interference for the Falwells, and in fact,
2016 election. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry, and 2016, 2020, it's all too much for me.
Yeah, go ahead.
But at the same time, Giancarlo, he says that he never, Michael Cohen says that he never met Giancarlo. He did, in fact, meet Giancarlo when Giancarlo met Trump at Liberty University. And from there, given his friendship with the Falwells, I don't know what that's about. I suspect it's about money, for sure. I can't imagine him not being on the Falwell payroll to this day. He's been trying to protect them, protect the very people who threw the evangelical vote to Trump. And, essentially, tip the scales and got that fucker elected. So, did he meet Michael Cohen? Yes, he did. So Cohen's lying there. Did he talk to me? I don't know. Cohen said he didn't speak to me. Well, I'm sitting in a D.C. restaurant with Giancarlo and the former archivist for the Nixon Library, of all people, a guy named Robert Nettlekoff, and I have a copy of Cohen's book. And I said, you know what, I'm going to text Michael Cohen right now. I got his private cell phone number from Giancarlo, so, they obviously had a phone relationship going on there, right? And I texted him, a photo of me holding, I think I was wearing this shirt. Yeah, I was holding a copy, but I want Ellie's shirt is the shirt I want to be wearing right now. Sorry about that. So I held up a copy of I took a picture, a selfie, holding up his book and said, I'm here with Giancarlo Granda, Michael, and we got to talk. And his response, and, the text, I saved them, was, I'm friends with the Falwells. I can't have anything to do with this, Ebner. And that was the last we spoke. So in the book, long story short, we posited that Michael Cohen was indeed the real pool boy. If you read his book, he'll talk about El Karib in Brooklyn when he was, running errands and shining shoes, for Russian mobsters and whatnot. I read that story with keen interest because, it gives me the opportunity right now to say to Michael Cohen, you know, if you think we're lying or Giancarlo was lying in the book, you know what? You spent a career lying for Donald Trump. So, you know, in the words of Billy Blatt from Goodfellas, go get your shine box, Michael Cohen, pool boy. That's about all I have to say.
Marc, I think that was pretty well said, you know, and Zev, I know you've done some extensive also work on that situation. You want to jump in, and if you have any questions for Marc? Or
Yeah, I've got to
anything
run
you
in a
wanna-
second, but I love that
Yeah.
story. That is one of the best stories I've heard about Michael Cohen, and I've heard a lot of good ones. I got to ask you, because Marc, you know, we know, of course, that the Falwells were doing, what do you call, stooping the pool boy. We know that happened. Now, why does Michael Cohen possibly believe that they'll suddenly become ethical or principled around policy? I mean, it's obvious that if they're not ethical or principled about stooping the pool boy, they're not going to be caring that much about policy either. Clearly, this was in the middle of an election. Clearly, they were looking for a favor from the Falwells, and they got it.
They got it big time. And, you know, to bring that to the present day, you know, I would say, you know, Cohen is kind of flipped here, and he claims that Letitia James and Bragg coerced him in his testimony. You know, what I can say to that is, now remember, do you remember when Cohen was in a press conference or something, and he was defending Trump, and he kept going, says who? Says who? Says who? Do we remember that?
Yeah, I remember that moment, yeah.
Okay, it went viral. Well, as, you know, as far as you lying about Letitia James and Alvin Bragg goes, I'm going to say it right here. I know for a fact that they didn't coerce you, Michael Cohen, and that says me. You see what I'm saying? He's lying, and I don't know what's going on. I think he might be trying to stir up some litigation because he's desperate for money.
Sure is. Or a pardon.
Or
a pardon sounds like a good idea for him right now.
100%. I could tell you guys, listen, there's a lot more about this that, you know, people are coming out and people are starting to talk, people are starting to hear, and they're like, thank God that you guys are talking about this, because, you know, we couldn't come out because they made Michael Cohen this darling all of a sudden because of this, you know, Stormy Daniels. And he's a con artist, because if you really take a look at it, he's been with Donald Trump for 14 years and he's never spoken about one thing besides Stormy Daniels. Not one thing. If you bring up any crime or any situation Donald Trump was in, he will tell you no, that he doesn't. Even to the fact that, remember with the letter, he said no, I never saw him draw or whatever the kids. He doesn't scribble or scrabble, whatever he says there. It's always protecting Donald Trump, except when it came to Stormy Daniels, and that's because he went to prison for it, and that's why he went to.
And now Lev, and now sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, please go ahead, Wash.
Now Lev, that one thing that made him into, I don't know, a reformed hero or what he sold himself as, he's turned back on that. As Ebner, as Marc said, you know, for those who forget, because there's so much happening 2 weeks ago on a Friday on Substack, he's the one who wrote, they coerced me, Alvin Bragg and Letitia James coerced me. I'm like, word? Oh, wow. So 7 years later, now they coerced you? What excellent timing. What did they coerce you about? What did you lie about? What did you say that under oath that you want to take back? And then, as we've mentioned on your program and when you've come on with me and Ellie, as soon as he said that, right-wing media ran with it and Donald Trump came out and said it. So, you know, even that one thing that was his kind of redemption arc, as of 2 weeks ago on his Substack, using his words, we didn't make it up, I have no vendetta against this man. He said, he alleges that Letitia James and Alvin Bragg 7 years ago coerced him, the language that he used, to make him into the star witness. And I'm very curious, if that is the case, what did they coerce you into saying? What did you say that you regret? Did you lie under oath? Also, you still haven't answered Ellie and her subscribers' question about why, oh, why was that Rule 35 consideration sent in 2019 by your attorneys to the SDNY? Did they just on their own? Because, you know, folks, that's how lawyers work. Just on their own, they're sitting there. You're like, you know what I'm going to do instead of spending time with my family for free without consulting my attorney? I'm going to send And for Rule 35 consideration, I'm just going to make some shit up. And just on a whim, I'm just going to go ahead and say maybe my client knows something about Epstein. Sorry, I had to say that.
No, please. Thank you. You can't make it.
You know, the other thing that stuns me, and I've got to jump off here, just let me throw this in though. Michael Cohen
please,
presented those 2 checks for proof that he was getting paid by Donald Trump. There was $35,000 checks for Stormy Daniels. Now, I don't know, but it seems pretty hard that those checks were coerced. Those are real checks that were signed by Donald Trump, or was it Weisselberg and the Trump Organization, to Michael Cohen to pay off Stormy Daniels. That is proof. That is not something that could have been coerced by anybody in any testimony. That is just actual fact and actual documentation. But I got to run, guys. I thank you guys for joining. Let me join.
Absolutely. Before you go, Zev, please tell everybody where they can follow you, because Zev does some incredible investigative work. We got a lot more coming, so please give him a follow. Zev, give everybody a quick. Where can we find you?
Yeah, they can check me out at narrative.org, narrativ.org, and I'm here with you guys on various shows all the time. So you're gonna definitely find me on all your channels. And I just posted something really good about Lutnick and Musk and the Epstein files. So read it. It's my first take on what I'm finding in the new Epstein files dump. And it's amazing that these guys, so close to Donald Trump, the chief funder, the chief donor for Donald Trump's campaign, and his commerce secretary, tied to Putin, now also in the Epstein files. I'm not surprised, but there you go. We've got proof now.
And
Thank
yet
you,
another
Zev.
billionaire, Zev.
Yeah, imagine that. So you have to be a billionaire and a criminal. That's the rule.
It's part of
Cheers,
Trump.
guys.
Zev, thank you for coming. Everybody give Zev a follow, and we are going to be on it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I was going to say, Ellie, anything else you want to add to any of this that you think that we should know right now that you've been scooping on? Because I know you are tired. You need to go get, because your eyes, and you got a lot of kids, and I know Waj has a lot of kids. I know Marc is out there, so I know we've been at this for all day. Tell us, how do you want to give us some final words about where we're at and where we're going with this? Because we're only starting. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
3.5 million files. Remember, folks, a file is not a single piece of paper. Like a file, some of these files are 500 pages long. So, I mean, if you think about how many pages we're dealing with, I will continue to drop updated links to the files in a more readable format. I'm putting them into PDFs, combined PDFs, so they're not so hard to get through. Something that I wanted to talk about that I think is really important to remember when we're looking through these files is when you think of a crime scene or a crime that occurs, and you think of a tip line that is set up for people to call in and give information on a crime, you have to take things with a grain of salt. A lot of it is true. Not everything is true. Use your best judgment and do your homework. Don't start posting everything because you heard something wild and crazy. Like, really dig into it and look into this information, because there is a lot of truth in these files, but there's also things that the DOJ wants to drop in there to be a red herring. So just be thoughtful, intentional, talk to your friends, look stuff up, ask questions, but dig. Like, we can all do this together, and we'll get through it a lot faster.
Ellie, thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah.
And Ellie, where can they follow you on YouTube? Because we're all over right now. We're on YouTube, Twitter, and Substack. So
that's a great question. Where to follow me on YouTube? I don't really know the coding in my name. I'm really bad at YouTube. So how about Substack?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a YouTube. I don't really do a lot with it. On Substack, I'm the Panicked Writer. Most social media platforms, I'm under Red Pencil Script, which is my side hustle for transcription. I do a lot of writing, political writing. I do some fiction when I'm feeling, whimsical. But for the most part, I'm really digging into these files because I want to see an end to this story. This story has an end.
Ellie, I wanted you to thank, and everybody out there, make sure I could tell you the subscription to Ellie is cheaper than a cup of coffee at Starbucks a month. And the information, I mean, she's a professional transcriber. A lot of people don't know that. And she's using her talent right now, and she has an army of independent other subscribers out there that are digging. Just think about 3 million files. And this is not coordinated.
Got more people than that. Everybody can look at one. You know,
Right,
we got
but yeah,
like 10 million people. Like, look at
but
half a file.
but I want to make sure people understand because the
Yeah.
DOJ and I've dealt with them because they prosecuted me. I went to prison, so when they go to court, they have their stacks. Everything is documented. You could see where it goes. It's very easily. You know how they gave it? They basically
Organized.
threw everything. Yeah, unorganized.
Yeah.
This is called a dump. A dump where
Yeah.
where they're trying to hide things and we're trying to find needle in the haystack. So Ellie,
And the cool thing, I was going to say,
go
the
ahead.
cool
Yeah,
thing
go
that
ahead.
people are doing, that they're catching on to doing, is putting things in chronological order. And that is not something that we had before. Now everybody is starting to put things into chronological order so that we can see the timeline of events. We can see the text threads. We can see the email threads. And everything makes sense because very purposefully, everything is really, really spread out so that two conversations are not within 1,000 pages of each other.
Awesome. Everybody,
Yeah.
make sure you give Ellie a follow. We got a lot more coming. And so thank you, Ellie, for joining us.
Yeah. See you guys later.
Go tend to your kids.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys.
Good night. Waj, my brother. Listen, me and Waj have been on this thing for a while now. We've been talking about it since July 6th. Once when that infamous letter from the DOJ came out where Pam Bondi said, "Oh, there's nothing here, folks. Let's close this down." There's we were that after that we were on it, and we're still on it. And we don't forget Dan Bongino. There's a lot of questions, a lot of things, and we're just getting started, and a lot of things happening behind the scenes, which we're gonna keep you apprised of. December 12th, I'm going to DC with that petition. So, guys, we're going to share it. Everybody, make sure you get the signatures. We're going to be meeting with Congressman Raskin and others there to be able to talk about the next step and other things that I can't tell you yet, but I will. I think everybody will be very surprised. But Wajahat, tell us, brother, where can we? I know you're one of the worst, self promoters out there, but I'm going to tell you before he starts, the work that this man does. There's a lot of people, but he's on there. I mean, with nonstop reporting it, breaking it, giving a real independent journalism. So definitely, I'm going to say to you, everybody, give this man a follow, a subscription, and what him and Ellie are charging, you could have both of them and still be cheaper than a coffee at Starbucks. So it's just incredible, the information. Go ahead, Wajahat.
Yeah, I just want to bring it back full circle. Today's latest, earliest scandal was 4 Black journalists, including Don Lemon, being arrested by the FBI for the crime of exercising their First Amendment. And specifically, MAGA thought that would be chum for their base because they're on the back foot, because they realize they're weak, because they're underwater on the economy, underwater on Epstein, underwater on immigration. They've overreached on ICE because a deranged cosplay crusading psychopath, Stephen Miller, is the one running the show, because he was such a freak and couldn't get dates because women had good taste, and he got radicalized in the 9th grade. And this has been his wet dream since he was a teenager. I'm not making this up. And so the entire Republican Party, because now they live in the anus of Donald Trump, are perfectly fine having the country burned to the ground for the sake of Stephen Miller, Russell Vought, a white Christian nationalist, and these pedophile billionaire friends, the Broligarchy, right? So they went after 4 independent journalists, Black journalists. If they can go after 4 independent Black journalists, that was a sign by the Trump administration, because they knew it was bullshit. They knew the judges wouldn't keep them. All 4 of them, thankfully, knock on wood, are out. It's a sign, like a mob boss, I can get to you as well. I can threaten you as well. I'll come after you as well. If they can go after 4 Black journalists, including Don Lemon, they'll go after Ellie, God forbid, or Lev, or Marc, or me, or Zev, right? So this is why we need solidarity and community. We all have to stick together. And fascists come for everyone. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Fascists come for everyone at the end. They come for fellow fascists. You'll see Donald Trump turn on these rats. You'll see these rats jump ship. You'll see people like the Michael Cohens. You'll see them at their fake redemption arc, right? So I want you all to have eyes wide open. Fascists come for everyone. We've been saying it since forever. Look at Minnesota. They killed Renee Nicole Good. Look at Minnesota. They killed 2 weeks later Alex Preddy. They lied about the murder. They gaslit us. They're still trying to gaslight us. If they can murder 2 white folks in cold blood and call them domestic terrorists, what will they do to you? And I'll end on a positive note, is as all this information is coming out, folks, people are worried. People are scared. David Brooks just published his final column for the New York Times today. It's going to be some interesting conversations. Howard Lutnick, they're probably going to throw him under the bus. But more transparency, more knowledge, more information, and I know things are rough, and they're gonna get rough because Donald Trump, no disrespect to New York sewer rats, is a cornered New York City sewer rat who will chew through anything and everyone to stay alive. You will see him get more reckless, more bold, more violent, and this is a sign, folks, of weakness. This is a sign of weakness. What's happening? And he just announced, Lev and Marc, that they want to now unleash ICE in Ohio. What's in Ohio? A lot of white people. What's in Ohio? Yeah, you got the Haitians and some black immigrants. A lot of white folks, a lot of Trump supporters. So what is ICE going to do, God forbid, if they're unleashed in Ohio? The same reign of terror that they did in Minnesota and in Maine, radicalizing more white folks and former Trump supporters. So go on offense, smash mouth football, stay connected, know that we have the numbers. It's a long fight, and please support independent journalists, because you saw today they tried to go after 4 of them, and thank God 4 of them are out. It's the lefthook.substack.com. As Lev said, I have a New Year's special going on for 2 more days, $3.75 forever if you sign up in the next 2 days. Thanks, Lev. Thanks, Marc. I got to head out to my kiddos, but I appreciate it. And
Thank
just
you.
link up, folks. Link up. Everyone has a role to play. Sorry, Lev and Marc. Last thing I'll say. Everyone has a role to play. You don't have to be a Marc. You don't have to be a Lev. You don't have to be an Ellie. You don't have to be me. Everyone has a role to play. There's people out there in Minnesota with whistles. There's people out there with cameras. Grandmas, grandpas, neighbors. Everyone has a role to play. F fascists. You can't coddle fascism. You have to crush a fascist. This is your Indiana Jones, Ellen Ripley, and John McClane moment. Thank you all.
I love it, Waj. Go to your kids, and thank you so much, my brother. Talk to you later. Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks for that, Waj. Hey, Lev, I got 2 things to plug before I jump.
No,
right?
please, brother, I got you.
They're relevant. One is you mentioned I'm doing a podcast. I am indeed. I'm rebranding the title from a book I wrote with Andrew Breitbart called Hollywood Interrupted into a Hollywood and crime podcast. And that should be out in about, I'll start releasing episodes in about 3 or 4 weeks. Then in December 26th of the remainder of this year, I've got a book coming out called Deprogrammer. And I wrote it with the OG cult deprogrammer, a guy named Rick Allen Ross. And in it, we take a look into the MAGA mind. And we answer definitively the question, is Donald Trump a cult leader? No spoilers, but we do answer that question, and I think you'll be surprised by the answer, Lev.
I love it.
Meantime, you got to get out here. The People's Republic of California misses you, brother.
I'll be out there soon, brother. I'm working on a lot of things. You know it. We're going to make a lot of announcements. I want to really thank you for coming, joining us, Marc. Marc also joined Substack. He's going to be doing more on here, do more writing, more coming on. Welcome to the family, Marc. But
Thanks,
again,
brother.
Appreciate it, brother. Have a great night. Take care.
All right, Lev. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Folks, wow, that was an incredible panel. I hope you guys enjoyed and got a lot of information, because I think it's imperative. First of all, I want to give some shout outs. I'm new at this because we've been on also the Substack and also on YouTube and Twitter. Definitely to Josie Adornick. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Major shout out to Jen XOXO. Thank you so much for your donations. Others, I'm bad at this, but I will get better. I want to thank all of you guys for being here, supporting on all the platforms. The one thing I want you to know is we're here to be able to give you the information that the media either is too scared to, either they for some reason don't want to, or because Donald Trump is putting pressure on them. But and me, I just want you to understand what you saw here. You had independent journalists on here. I'm not an independent journalist. I was one of these people. I was part of the inner group. I know what megas are like. I know the inside. I give you an information. I give you the inside scoop that nobody else gives. And I could tell you one thing, as somebody that was part of helping make MAGA, I promise you I'm going to be part of taking MAGA apart piece by piece. We have a lot of major announcements. So if you haven't yet, very importantly, hit the like buttons, hit the subscribe buttons, comment in there. All of these are algorithms. If you could become paid subscribers, it just brings the algorithms and sends the message out farther, because the information I promise you will hear will not be like any of the other shows. Most of them are just giving you a regurgitation of the news, which is also important because the news is important, but the inside information, if you really want to know what's going on, definitely I recommend you guys subscribe, follow, and join our movement. And before I go, I'm also going to be putting in the comment section on YouTube, on all of the, and Substack, writing a letter. We have a petition out there. This petition is to be able, when I go February 12th to Congress to sit with Jamie Raskin, I want to show him the petition. I want to be able to show him that there's over 1 million voices out there that are demanding that we have accountability right now, that people want to see people getting deposed, like the Steve Bannons, Michael Cohen's, Michael Wolf's, and a bunch of others. It doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, Independent. If your name is in the Epstein file, we need you to come out there and we need to get the truth. Enough of this going behind paywalls, enough of this blocking us and pretending that this is some kind of personal attack on you and going on. It's enough is enough, folks. And that's why you see my shirt is enough is enough. This year we're going to take action. So I want to thank everybody that came on and joined us. I know it's been a long day. There's a lot more happening. I'm going to be up most of the night, but tomorrow also join us. Don't forget, 12 o'clock. Coffee tea with Lev and Dean. Hopefully Dean is back and we'll be able to be on time. If not, I'll give you the new time, but you don't want to miss it, because it's 2 hours of incredible guests, incredible wrap-ups, stories, story time, pictures, and an opportunity for you guys, the subscribers, the paid subscribers, to come participate. We're also going to start doing this simultaneously on YouTube and Substack. So this way we could have both of our communities, our Substack community and our YouTube community, participate in the Q&As, participate in coming up and being able to be part of the conversation. Because like I said, this is not, we're more than just a community. We're a family, and we are the movement, and that we have become the resistance. So again, folks, have a great night. Thank you for joining me at Lev Remembers. I hope the information you got today was extremely important. Pass it on to everybody you know, because the number one thing, like Waj said and everybody else, is it's taking this information and spreading it far and wide. We need the more people that know what's going on, the more people that understand that the Epstein files are Donald Trump's kryptonite, the more maybe and the quicker we could be able to get our democracy back. So stay tuned, folks. A lot more coming. Subscribe, like, hit the buttons, and I'll see you soon. Take care.